welcome back to my channel Gabbabetic, and welcome to today's video. If you've been on my channel before, you know that I've been using Dexcom G6 for the past few months now, and before I used Freestyle Libre both 1 and 2. So that gave me the idea for today's video, which is better, Dexcom G6 or Freestyle Libre 2. I did a similar video, Freestyle Libre 1 versus Freestyle Libre 2 before, and many people found it very helpful and gave them lots of advice. So that's why I'm doing this video today. In this video, I'm going to be looking at a few different topics, and they'll be detailed in the chapters below. Things like design, application, accuracy, and the advantages of Dexcom over Libre or Libre over Dexcom. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Okay, so let's begin with taking a look at both the Dexcom G6 and the Freestyle Libre 2. You will notice in this video I am wearing a Dexcom G6 at the moment, and I will be taking that off and starting from scratch, so no need to worry. But let's get the camera out and let's have a closer look at both of these systems. Side by side comparison, this is how they look, but it is to note that the Dexcom G6 needs a transmitter as well, so we have to add that into our package. So this is the complete setup. For Freestyle Libre 2, you only need one box, which has the sensor. For the Dexcom G6, you need the sensor, which is inside here, and then you also need the transmitter. Probably the biggest difference between the two is the fact that you do need this transmitter for Dexcom G6. Obviously the G7 is coming out that's similar to Libre 2, and for good reason, because you have to replace this transmitter every 3 months. And it can be a bit annoying trying to get it sent out and being on top of that as well as having to get your sensors. But anyway, that's how the Dexcom G6 looks. Obviously, the major difference between the two is that this is a continuous glucose monitor, whereas this is only flash glucose monitoring. So what that means, if you haven't come across that before, is that this, you have to tap your phone or your receiver off the Libre sensor in order to get a blood sugar reading, whereas with the Dexcom G6, you get continuous reading and there's no need to scan your sensor or flash it, as it's called, the flash monitoring system. It's there, it's ready for you, whereas with the Libre, you have to scan it. So let's open up the boxes and see how they look in terms of design. I'm going to start with the Libre 2. So for Libre 2, you get a box that looks like this. So you get one sensor applicator, one sensor pack, and one product insert. And as you see here, it can be used with the Freestyle Libre reader, the Freestyle Libre 2 reader, and the Freestyle Libre Link app. So on the back, we have an open here, and we just pull that across and open up the contents. Here's what we get. We get one sensor pack, and this contains our sensor inside here. Always important to check the date, put that there. And we get one sensor applicator here. That's everything inside this box, so I can go ahead and get rid of that. So as you can see in the Libre pack, there's actually very little. You know, we have our sensor pack, our applicator, the instructions, and that's basically it. So let's go ahead and open up the Dexcom G6. So the Dexcom G6, this is the sensor applicator and the sensor inside here. So I will go ahead and open that up. Taking out of the box, this is what we get. One Dexcom G6 sensor. It looks like this. So this is the applicator, and the sensor is actually built inside of here, which in contrast to the Libre has two parts. This part has the sensor, and this is our applicator. Dexcom, it's all in one. But as you can see, the size difference is quite big, and this has a bit more that you need to do in my opinion, but this is how both of the systems look. You're probably wondering about the transmitter too, so I'll just talk about that for a second. This is how a transmitter looks. I'm obviously wearing my current transmitter at the moment, so I won't be taking it off just now. Like I said, the transmitter lasts for 3 months, so you will be switching it between sensor to sensor, so that is why I have a spare one here, but I'm not going to open it right now. Okay, so that is an overview of how both the Dexcom G6 and the Freestyle Libre 2 look. So in a minute, we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply both of them. Some quick notes about each system. So the Dexcom G6 sensor lasts for 10 days, while the Freestyle Libre 2 actually lasts for 14. When I put it on, you will see a size and a shape difference. So the Libre is one small white circle, whereas the Dexcom G6 is more of this kind of, I don't even know the shape of that, oblong kind of shape, and it has a bigger patch, and obviously it has the transmitter on top. In terms of availability of both the Dexcom G6 and the Libre 2, I think it really depends on where you live. I am from Ireland and I live in Ireland at the moment, but I also lived in the UK for 4 years. In the UK, the NHS provided Libre 1 and Libre 2. Libre 1 is actually discontinued now in the UK, they don't make it there anymore, so Libre 2 is what's available, and probably Libre 3 soon. If you met the criteria in the UK, you were prescribed a Libre 2, which is great. However, Dexcom was a lot harder to get. I don't really remember anyone over there having it. it definitely wasn't as readily available as the Libre, whereas in contrast in Ireland, if you are type 1 diabetic, you can get a Dexcom G6 on your LTI, which is your long-term illness card, possibly going to be upgraded to a G7 soon, but you can only get Freestyle Libre 1 if you are under 21 and living with type 1 diabetes. You notice there that I said 1 and not 2, even though I said 1 was discontinued in the UK. It's very behind with Libre at the moment in Ireland. Like, you can only get the 1 even though the 2 is out and the 3 is out, and they're already discontinuing the 1, so I'm not sure what's happening there, but if you live in Ireland, you'll most likely be prescribed the Dexcom G6 or the G7. Before we go ahead and do our application, both of these systems work with your phone. The Libre uses NFC and Bluetooth because it has alarms, and the Dexcom G6 uses Bluetooth. Both work with a receiver. This is the Dexcom G6 receiver. This is the Freestyle Libre 2. Big difference here, when you are prescribed a Libre 2, you can get your Freestyle Libre 2 reader for free. Whereas if you're prescribed a Dexcom G6, you can only get a reader in Ireland, I'm talking about, if you have an incompatible phone. And I have an incompatible phone, so that's how I got a Dexcom G6 reader. Otherwise, you can buy them on the website, and I think they're 250, 300 euro. In contrast to the Libre 2, I actually got this directly from Abbott. When I told them that I'd upgraded to Libre 2, they sent me this out for free. Dexcom, it's going to cost you 300 euro unless you have an incompatible phone and you get your consultant endocrinologist to write a letter to Dexcom and get you a G6 reader. So big difference there if you live in Ireland. Okay, so I've just taken off my old Dexcom, and it takes up a lot of room on the arm. It's not looking too good, to be honest, but you know, it is what it is. So this is how the Dexcom G6 transmitter looks, and if you want to know how to change transmitters between sensors, I did another video, I'll link that in the description, or you can check out some of the other videos in this playlist, because I'm not going to be going through a transmitter change at the moment. But we are going to put on first the Dexcom G6 system, and I will explain to you after I put both on why I started with the G6. Okay, so we open up and we have our applicator. You can see that we have a code on here, 9117. So for the Dexcom G6, I go onto my receiver or my app and I press new sensor. We will be taking a look at the apps between both systems later on in the video, but for now, for this, I'm going to just use my receiver. I go ahead and I enter the code 9117. It tells me the code is correct. Now I can go insert my sensor. You can see the shape of the applicator is very different in comparison to the applicator of the Libre 2. Now remember, the sensor's inside this on the Dexcom, whereas in Libre 2 we have to put it together. So that's something to remember. So Dexcom G6 sensor, we simply take off these paper bits and we can see the adhesive is ready. And we have to break this, and now it's ready to go. So obviously I'm going to go for the other arm because this is very red, so we have to try to fit the Libre on that side. For this one though, I think, and I hope you can see, I think we will go about here. So I put it on. Oh, that actually really hurt. It doesn't normally hurt, but it actually might bleed, this one, because that was extremely painful. Anyway, you smooth around the sensor, so you can see sensor's in with no transmitter yet. This is finished, so there's nothing left inside here, so that's for the bin. We get our transmitter and we click it on like so until you hear that little click. And now it's ready, so I'm going to go ahead on my receiver. Now, what you need to know is the Dexcom G6 has a huge warm-up time of 2 hours. That's why I actually started with this system first, because the Libre 2 is nowhere near as long. So that's, in my opinion, a huge flaw of the Dexcom G6. We'll go through advantages and disadvantages later. But for now, this is on. It might bleed because honestly, it was quite painful. So I will keep an eye on that, but we have 2 hours until we can actually know our blood sugar on the Dexcom G6. So let's go ahead and put on Libre 2. Okay, so Libre 2, I'm going to use my phone for scanning the Libre 2 because the disadvantage of it with Dexcom, you can use both the receiver and your phone to get your readings, but with Libre 2, which is different from Libre 1, you can only use the receiver or the phone. You can't use both. And I talked about this in my Libre 1 versus Libre 2 video, because with Libre 1 you can actually use the phone and the receiver like the Dexcom G6, but with Libre 2 you can only use your phone or the receiver. So I don't want to have this. I want to use my phone to be able to show you comparisons and take screenshots. So I'm going to go ahead and get my Libre 2 ready. First of all, I open up my sensor pack. So why are they always so hard to open? So we open it up. This is how it looks inside. You can't really see the sensor yet. Get our applicator ready. So we twist to open it. So we have our applicator, sensor pack. We line up. So you want this one line on its own with this one line here on the Libre 2. Together, line up like so and push. Then you know it's ready. So we can actually see the needle inside our sensor here. So the sensor is ready to go. Now, like I said, if you want to know more detail about application of both, check out any of my other videos. But we're going to go put this on. It's going to be a bit hard because so much has been already taken up by the G6. Okay, I found a location. I hope you can see. So there's no button. You just press in with the Libre 2. It's on there. Honestly, that was way less painful. I don't know what was wrong with the G6 today. I will be fair and say it's not normally like that, but that's our Libre 2 on there. That's our Dexcom G6 on there. Obviously, you can see, I don't know if you can see them behind me, there is a major difference between the two in terms of size. This takes up quite a bit of your arm. This doesn't take up quite so much. Nice, small shape, smooth, not as bulky as the G6. My own opinions, people can have different opinions, so if you prefer the G6, fine, but in terms of how it actually looks, I much prefer the Libre. That's just my opinion. So we're going to scan the Libre now to activate it. Obviously, I couldn't show you me scanning it because I use my phone to film, but you can see in the screenshot here, it actually only has a 60-minute warm-up. So big difference between the two. Dexcom G6 is a 2-hour warm-up, which is a long time to go without a blood sugar reading if you're relying on that and not finger pricks. Whereas the Libre 2 only has 1 hour. So you can see there's a lot of differences between the two systems, and we'll be talking about that throughout the video. So for now, I'm going to let both systems warm up because they obviously need time to do that. And then we will be comparing them for the next 2 or 3 days for accuracy and just to see how it is with actual real day-to-day life activities, you know, working, eating, exercise, driving with these systems, how accurate they are and how they feel when you're wearing them. I'll also talk about the advantages and disadvantages of both in a little while. I kind of talked about it a bit already, but I'll kind of give you a bit of a summary of each because they do have different advantages and disadvantages. But yeah, that's how we're looking for now. I really don't know what happened with this. It's very sore, but this is feeling good. I have a lot of tech on me at the moment. So I'm going to go and have a little break and I'll talk to you in a while.
A few moments later.
Okay, so before we go ahead and do our first readings, I think my Libre 2 has 20 minutes to go. So that means my Dexcom has 1 hour and 20 minutes to go. I just want to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the systems. So I wrote a few down here because I feel I do know which system has advantages over the other because I have used both of them for a while. One major thing that I talked about earlier was the warm-up time, and I think this is where Libre 2 really has the advantage. 1 hour is just so much more acceptable than 2 hours in my opinion. You know, you can get by for 1 hour probably without taking your blood sugar, or you can use a finger prick, but 2 hours just seems like a long time, and also it just like seems a bit unnecessary. Like, why that long to adjust and warm up if we already have a system on the market that can do it in 1 hour? Do you think the G7 has a shorter warm-up time? I'm not exactly sure how long, but if I do get a G7, I will compare it and let you know. But for now, that's 1 point to Libre 2 because it has definitely a quicker warm-up time. Obviously, like I talked about, there's one big difference between the two. Dexcom being continuous and Libre 2 being flash. And of course, we have to give points to Dexcom for this. Dexcom definitely has the advantage being continuous. I believe it takes your reading every 5 minutes. And you can look through that on your app. You can see every 5 minutes what the reading was. Whereas for Libre, you do have a logbook so you can see every time you scan, but it's totally dependent on you how much you check your blood sugar. You know, the Dexcom is recording every 5 minutes, but the Libre 2 is only when you scan it. So points there to Dexcom. Then in terms of the size and the design, I prefer Libre 2. Like, I just think the Dexcom is a bit bigger, a bit bulkier, you know, it definitely hits off a few more things. But Libre 2 is nice and small, discreet. So I'm giving points to Libre 2 for their design. Also, Libre 2 has a bigger advantage in that the sensor lasts for 14 days in comparison to the 10 days with Dexcom. If I can go an extra 4 days without having to change my sensor and worry about that, that is a big advantage to me. The fact with Libre 2 you don't have a transmitter to worry about, I think that is just one less thing, because we have so many things as type 1s to worry about. One less thing is great. I also think in terms of the application, Libre 2 has the advantage. Now this is just my opinion, you can disagree completely. I just think, you know, you have two things, you put them together and it's done. Whereas with the Dexcom, you know, you're trying to take your transmitter off the old sensor, then you have this applicator that you put codes in. Libre 2 has no codes, you don't have to worry about anything like that. Dexcom, you're putting codes in, you're putting on the sensor, you're pairing your transmitter. I don't like that. It feels a bit like faffy, like there's loads to be doing to remember. I was very overwhelmed when I moved from Libre 2 to Dexcom at the start, because all these codes, these transmitter codes, these sensor codes, pairing everything, I just didn't like it. Whereas with Libre 2, literally I just put it on and tapped my phone and it was synced. So Libre 2, in my opinion, has the better advantage in terms of application. Some things for Dexcom though, where it does have the advantage over Libre. Dexcom has a very special urgent low alarm, and this is really great in my opinion. With Libre 2, if you have your low alert in and it goes off, that's it. It doesn't tell you that you're going urgently low and you're going to keep severely dropping. Whereas with Dexcom, you have your normal hypo alarm that goes off, but if you're going into an urgent low, like a severe hypo, it will go off with another alarm to tell that, and I believe you can't turn that one off, if I'm right. So that is great in my opinion, because if you're dropping really, really fast and you don't feel it and you don't know it, but your Dexcom can tell you you're going into an urgent low, you know then that you need to quickly get some sugar and treat your hypo. That's a huge advantage with the Dexcom G6. I think that is a really, really good thing, the urgent low alarm. Another advantage to Dexcom G6, you can use both the reader and you can use your phone, but with Libre 2 you can only use one or the other. So I like to have the receiver because I like to be able to look at the receiver at night time when I have like my phone off or my phone put away. I can look at the receiver and just check my blood sugar quickly there, and I don't have to use my phone. Whereas with Libre 2 I do, and then I kind of want to go on my phone and want to go on TikTok and everything like that. So I definitely think it's better with the G6 that you can check both the receiver and your phone at the same time. Huge disadvantage with Libre being only able to do one or the other. And the final one I can think of, it's kind of to do with design. Although I do prefer the design of the Libre 2, it is less sticky, so you can see there's a tiny bit going around keeping it in place, whereas the Dexcom, they got it locked down here. That's huge. So I do think the Dexcom is more sticky and has more of a chance of actually staying on you, especially if you ever walked into a door with your Libre 2, you will know that that thing will rip right off. Whereas with Dexcom G6, that actually has never happened to me, so they definitely have it more secure, locked down, much better in my opinion. Okay, so that's the advantages and disadvantages of the two systems. As you can see, both have pros and cons. It's really hard to pick one. I don't know if it was even there between them. It felt like they both had a few good things and a few bad things. Another thing I want to talk quickly about is the alarms. I briefly mentioned it there in the advantages and disadvantages. So the way the Libre 2 system works is that you have to scan the Libre 2 with your phone or your reader for your blood sugars, but if you have a hypo or a hyper alarm go off, you don't need to scan for that. The Libre will tell you because it's using Bluetooth for that. So I don't know why they couldn't just fully develop it into a kind of CGM almost, because that would make more sense. But it does tell you that you're going high or low without having to scan. The Dexcom, on the other hand, does all your readings for you without having to scan, and the alarms also go off, so that's why Dexcom is better. But the alarms itself, so in both systems you can set your target range, and you can also set in your hypo alerts and your hyper alerts. So I think on both of them I'm around 13 for a high blood sugar and a low blood sugar about 4. So then you'll probably see when we get using both systems that the alarms go off for both if you're going low. But obviously, like I said, Dexcom has a huge advantage in having this urgent low alarm. And we'll talk about it later on in the video. You can see if you're like 3.6, but if you're dropping really, really fast, it says on it, it's going to be like 3 within 20 minutes. And then if you hit that really severe hypo, you have that urgent alarm going off, just giving you more reassurance, telling you that you really do need to get some sugar for this hypo, that you are dropping very fast. And I think it's a great thing to have that, especially for people that have hypo unawareness. It's really helpful. That's enough about both of them now. So my Libre 2 is nearly ready. My Dexcom still has another hour. So I'll catch up with you when they're both ready, and we'll start our day 1 of readings and accuracy of both systems. Okay, so the Dexcom is finally ready. So you can see that after that it says setup complete. I'm using both the receiver and the phone for Dexcom during this video, but obviously for Libre I'll be putting up a screenshot because I can't show you me scanning it because I use my phone to film. But first reading on our Dexcom G6 4.9, actually now it's 4.7, and our Libre is actually 5.1. So I'm not going to use my monitor to check every single time, but just because this is the very first reading, for accuracy, let's compare it to my actual blood glucose monitor, which I deem to be the most accurate of the two. Won't be doing this for every reading, just ones where, you know, it's the very first one, like now they might be still warming up, or if there's like a big discrepancy or a low or a high, I'll probably use the monitor in that case. 4.6, so looks like the Dexcom is very accurate. So 4.7, I'm planning to go for a run. Landa's here with me now. I'm planning to go for a run now, and I don't think I can do that on that low, so I'm going to have something very, very small or a little bit of glucose just to keep me going. But I'm going to have to write it down. So far, Dexcom is definitely more accurate, but it's not too much between 5.1 and 4.7, but like to me, 5.1 I'm like I'm good, 4.7 I'm like I'm dropping a bit. So yeah, so I'll do my run and then we'll see post exercise if the Libre might get a bit more accurate now that it's on for a while or what, we'll see. So I will catch up with you after my run. Okay, so I'm just back from my run, forgot water, so I'm feeling thirsty. But anyway, Dexcom 5.6 and Freestyle Libre 5.7, so very accurate both of them, so basically the same. I need to find some food now. I had one biscuit before I ran to keep up my bloods, but they might spike. Sometimes they spike after running and then they might go down. Okay, I didn't mean to have an extra video so soon, but I just got a low alarm on my Freestyle Libre and you can see it's already 3.3 and going pretty fast. I don't feel bad at all. If this is a true low, which I'm really not sure it is because I don't feel bad at all, I would know well before 3.3 on the Libre. I don't know, it's only alerting me now at 3.3, even though my parameters are 3.8, and I'm actually going to higher them up a bit to 4 because that's what the Dexcom's at. But the Dexcom is saying I'm 4.7, so we're going to do a real blood sugar to check because there's a huge difference between 3.3 straight down and 4.7 tiny bit down. So I'm going to check now with my real monitor. 4.3. So I'm definitely dropping, I think. 4.3, I'm in the car, is obviously not good enough to drive, so I am going to take some Lyft if I can find it. I am going to have another one, some of this, because I can't drive the car unless my blood sugar is above 5, but I'm going to go with my real reading for that of 4.3. So Libre way off, way off. Dexcom off and higher. Obviously the Libre's worse because if it didn't have my finger pricker I would be really drastically over treating that hypo. So, and also though with the Dexcom at 4.7 saying I'm okay, I would be thinking, oh maybe I'm okay to drive in a minute. So neither are great. Gonna have some sugar. So literally about to put the phone away, getting the low glucose going off at 4.1. So my real blood sugar is 4.3, so Dexcom is definitely more accurate, but I am going low, so time to have some sugar. Okay, so I'm back home now. It is very late for food, but I'm just going to make literally a few bits of things like waffles and sausages and egg, that kind of thing. So we shall see how the blood sugar goes overnight. It'll probably be about 5 units of insulin, not too much. My blood sugars are 6.2 on Dexcom and 6.9 on Libre. Pretty good, pretty much the same after the difference in the low blood sugar readings. That was pretty bad. So I'm going to end day 1 here for today. We'll pick up in the morning and we'll have a look at my overnight graphs. I do go high at night. I usually don't eat this late because it usually makes me go really high, but you know, it's just been a busy day, so I've had no choice. So in the morning we will have a look at the graphs and see. Oh yeah, one thing I didn't mention earlier is that the Libre 2 only covers 8 hours of readings. So say I went to bed at 12 and I woke up at 8, that's fine, I have 8 hours there, so I'll still have my 2 readings and I'll get a graph in between there. But if I go to bed at like 10 and don't get up till 10, I'll lose like 4 hours of data and you'll see like a break in the line on the Libre graph. So that is a flaw of the Libre as well. But anyway, I'll catch up with you in the morning.
Day 2.
Good morning. So it is the start of day 2 and I have had an eventful night. So I'm going to pull up both graphs and I do think it's easier to see what happened on the Libre 2 because we have the logbook. So basically I went low, then I went high, then I went low, and I'm still low at the moment now. So I'm going to get some food in a minute. I've had some sugar, but it's not really keeping me up, so I need to eat some carbs. So on the logbook, it's so much handier in the Libre. So you can see that I went low first, then I went to high blood sugar at like 11. Now obviously it didn't alarm at that point for 11, but my Dexcom did. I'll show you that in a second. So that's how I knew I was high. The Libre was like 11. My alarm for a high is set to 13, so it didn't go off. And then it's going off now because I'm at 4, so I am dropping. Here's the Dexcom in contrast. It's really hard to see. I have no logbook on Dexcom, so I don't have exact readings to show you. But if I went through that graph, I would be able to find the readings. But that is kind of why I think the Libre, that's good that you can see some actual readings, but that's because it's not continuous. So, you know, pros and cons to both. But on the Dexcom, here's the graph. So you can see that I did, you can kind of see, it's kind of hard to see that I did go low. Then I went just high above there, went to like 12 and the alarms went off, and then I'm going low again. Currently, my receiver is saying 4.2. Yeah, I'm doing another jigsaw. More jigsaws. But my receiver is 4.2. So I'm not feeling good. The Libre is saying 4, both around the same. I know I am going low, so I'm going to have to go and take something. So yeah, both alarms were going off for the lows. The Dexcom went off for the high. The Libre hadn't because it only reached 11.1 by the time the Dexcom went off. The Dexcom was like 12.5 or something. So I don't know, they're both around the same, but I'm not feeling good. It was an eventful night. Why I'm going low, I can tell you, because I really wanted to have a good blood sugar after the food I had. Like the food I had was like sausages and waffles, so like it was very fatty, so I took a bit before I went to bed. But obviously I guess I didn't really need that because I think I overcorrected, and that's why I went high, which is very hard to manage. So anyway, I've pre-bolused, I've taken 2 units of insulin. I normally take 3 for my cereal, but I've taken 2 because I'm having so many lows, so hopefully that will help. I'm gonna go get breakfast now, and we'll catch up at like lunchtime. So my Libre has gone off. Sorry for the wind, we're just walking here. My Libre has gone off to say I'm going low at 4.1. I checked the Dexcom and it's 4.4. Can't exactly stop because I have Lana and we need to go to the car. So yeah, I'm assuming the Dexcom will go off soon. But yeah, not feeling the best. Having a lot of lows today, but Libre was the first to go off there. Okay, so it is lunchtime. My boyfriend has made these unreal peanut butter donuts, so I'm gonna have one of these after lunch. But let's check my blood sugar first. Libre is saying 9.7, an arrow like this, and Dexcom is the same, 9.8 with arrow like this. I should really look at the arrows more and see how they compare to each other, but both are basically the same. A bit later on, it's 4 o'clock, and I'm starting to feel like my blood sugar is dropping a bit. So my actual blood sugar is 4.8, and my Libre is the most similar. So Libre is 4.7 with the arrow kind of going down, but Dexcom is actually up at 5.7. Libre seems to be a bit more accurate in this case. So are we seeing some trends yet? I'm not really sure. Libre went off there to say my blood sugar is 3.9. Dexcom not going off yet. It still says I'm at 4.7. So Dexcom seems to be not registering the lows as fast as the Libre. Just did my blood sugar as well, and it's 3.9. So the Libre was exactly right. And obviously I didn't have to scan to find out that I was going low. The Libre alarms, it says low blood sugar. It just doesn't tell you what it is, but then when you scan it, it will say. So then I knew it was 3.9. I did know I was low without having to scan. Hey everybody, so it's 6 p.m. now and I'm getting ready for dinner. The crazy panting is Lana. She's just been outside playing, so she is getting ready for her dinner too. But I feel kind of full. Like I've had so much sugar to keep up my levels today, and I had a big lunch, so I'm only going to have something small. I'll show you what I'm going to have now. But my blood sugars are very similar. On the Libre I was 9.9, and on the Dexcom I'm 9.7. So basically the same. Dinner, I'm just going to have some gluten-free bagels. Carbs in one bagel is 29.9. So that'll be 3 units of insulin. I'm going to have chicken and cheese, which obviously don't have any carbs in them. I know, we'll get you your dinner soon. And we'll catch up after and see how the blood sugars are before bed. Hopefully I won't have any more lows because I can't deal with any more lows. It's nearly 12 at night. I'm just about to go to bed. Well, I'm kind of trending a bit higher at the moment, so 12.3 on the Dexcom straight across and 11 on the Libre. 9.9 on here. So this is kind of hard for me because like my Dexcom is literally saying I'm about to go into high alarm because I think my high is like 12.3. Both of these ready. If I haven't shown you before, this is Tresiba, my nighttime. And I just take my nighttime along with any insulin. Like if I need to correct, I'll take it as well. So I'll take basal and bolus together. I was gonna take 2 units at 12 and that might bring me down to about 8 because I'm usually a bit more insulin resistant in the night. But in the fact that my blood sugar is really 9.9 is throwing me a bit. I think I'm gonna take the 2. If that doesn't make me through the night, I'll go low, but I usually go high at night anyway, which is the reason that I'm gonna take the 2. So the more accurate one in this case, I guess, is the Libre, even though my real blood sugar is 10. Dexcom is saying 12.3, Libre is saying 11. I'm really tired, just want to go to bed, like don't want to do all this maths, but I have to, so this is the diabetic life. So I will catch up with you in the morning.
Day 3.
Good morning, so it is the start of day 3 and I had a good night's sleep. So I was just looking at the 2 graphs. Well, first of all, blood sugar on the Libre 6.4, blood sugar on the Dexcom 7.4. So both in range and seeming okay, so I'm happy with that. So on the Libre, my target range is set from like 4 till 8. That's the green kind of bar that you could see. So you could see that I did go above it during the night. Then I came back down by this morning. So that's why I do think I have more Tresiba in me. That's what's bringing me back down. Sorry. Lana's here. She just brought me a sock, which is great. So I need to feed her in a minute and feed myself. High and low are the 2 kind of orange lines that you can see, so I didn't go high. Then on the Dexcom, I find it's harder to see on the Dexcom for some reason. I don't know, like it just, you can see that I did go high as well and then back down again. Personally, I think I find the Libre graph easier to see than the Dexcom. But on the Dexcom, my range goes all the way up to 12. That's the grey before it goes high. Then it goes orange when it's high over 12.3. But both blood sugars are similar enough now, even though they have the same overnight graph. I went up and I went down, but it's just kind of displayed different. But anyway, someone wants their breakfast, me. So let's go and make our breakfast. So here we go, 2.5 units, Vincent. Gonna change the pen after that. I'll show you my breakfast now. And just to show you breakfast, there it is. So I'll try and hold these up. I think they're in my last video, gluten-free Nutribix. There it is. I'm going to go and have my breakfast. I've waited enough for the pre-bolus, so I'll catch up with you soon. Okay, everyone, we're going to have a bit of a chat. I obviously look really bad. So the heat is really hot today. I say really hot. It's 18 degrees. I know some people are watching this from America and Canada and be like, I'd literally be wearing a jacket at that time. But like in Ireland, this is hot. So my blood sugar on the Dexcom is 6.7 and on the Libre it's 5.3. So I will go back to explain about all the lows in a second. So on my real monitor it's 6.72. So obviously the Dexcom is closer, but I feel like I'm dropping because of the heat. So I thought the Libre might be, but the Dexcom is. Anyway, earlier I went to go for a run and I'm just having a bad day. Like I just couldn't do it because I had a hypo. The Freestyle Libre went off and it said I was 3.7 going low. The Dexcom said nothing. The Dexcom was just stuck at 4.7, saying I was fine straight across. My real blood sugar was 3.9. It seems to me that when I have a low blood sugar, the Libre is more accurate, and then when I'm more in range, like now, the Dexcom is. But I felt really bad, and I just had to drink all my sugar, and I actually ran out because I was dropping so much. I couldn't get my blood sugar back up, so I had to go and buy this. This was Emergency Sweets. So that was a few hours ago, and I just felt really awful. So I did have something for lunch, but I didn't record my readings. So these are my readings now. It's 3:30. So I am really in the 6.7, something like that. So I'll catch up with you after the walk. Dexcom is saying 5 and Libre is saying 5.3. It's very similar, but I do have to drive the car, and the rules in Ireland and the UK are don't drive below 5. So taking a sweet, I'll have another one while I'm driving because I'm struggling to keep the sugars up today. So even though I didn't do my run, I was glad I did my walk with Lana in these lovely woods. So pretty much the same, the blood sugar readings there. We'll keep doing today and we'll do tomorrow morning, and then we'll do an overall comparison. I just want to do tomorrow morning as well because I want to give you a comparison graph of the nighttime too. A quick comparison. I was getting a really bad headache. I'll put the Libre here on the screen so you can see the Libre is 7.6, real blood sugar 7.5, 8 and going down. So and I just wanted to do a ketone because I didn't feel great. They are all, oh yeah, and here's the Libre 1 reader that does ketones too. They're all pretty similar, but the Libre is more close to the actual reading. But this might go down, we'll see. So I did go back and do my run. It's 8:20, and I left my phone in the car because I knew that I was going up high for my blood sugar, but the Libre is saying 9.8, but I actually can't see the Dexcom because it's a signal loss. So that is one thing I find more, that the Dexcom, if you've been away from the phone for a while, has more of a signal loss than the Libre. Like the Libre just scans straight away, whereas the Dexcom was a signal loss. So, but I'm glad I did my run. In terms of staying on, the Libre and the Dexcom are both fine, and you couldn't even notice them running that one there. So in terms of exercise, they're pretty good. They stay on and you can't really feel them when you're running or anything like that. Okay, so the real blood sugar is 7.5. Libre is saying 8.7 and the Dexcom is saying 8.5. So they're both a bit higher than the actual, but they're very much the same. So here is my dinner: the gluten-free chicken Kiev, some salad, mayo, sweet potato fries. So I don't know, usually go high at the night. The potato fries will be the thing that will do it to me, but hopefully it won't be too bad. Was just about to film about going to bed. My blood sugar is really 3.8. Only reason I knew my blood sugar was low was because the Freestyle Libre alarm went off. So when I checked, it was 3.7 and going like this way down. Dexcom is just literally way off. It's like 6.3 or something. Okay, I just wanted to show you. I'm really not feeling good. 3.2. This is what it says on the Libre, and the real thing is 2.8. I think I'm around 2.5 because I'm feeling really dizzy, and I have colour spots. So I've just drank some Lucozade too. I'm gonna eat some more Sour Patch Kids. And that is the urgent low alarm going really low. Tell me on the Dexcom now. So yeah, I just wanted to let you see that because I don't know if I'd shown it in the video yet. Hey, good morning. So the last comparison that I'll be doing. So I had a terrible night. So, you know, I had some lows before I went to bed. I went low again in like half an hour later or an hour later or something. And yeah, I just took a snack then because I was just afraid I'd be going low all night. And then I went high all night. Dexcom is saying I'm like 16, the Libre is saying this, and the real blood sugar is this. It's 7 a.m. It's really hard to sleep with these high blood sugars. Feel so bad, so I'm just gonna bring Lana for a walk. Dexcom was definitely better for the high notification, even though now it's reading higher than I actually am. The Libre is closer. So I went back and had a look at all of the readings from the 3 days. And it is kind of clear that there is one that's more accurate when compared to the actual blood glucose monitor than the other. Maybe you will be surprised, maybe you won't from already watching the footage that I've shown you, but the Libre 2 seems to be more accurate. So when I compared them, I did Dexcom, Libre and actual reading, and when I looked at those, there was 8 times where the Libre was more comparable to the accurate blood sugar reading. So for example, the actual reading could have been 8.1 and the Libre be 8, and the Dexcom like 10 or something like that. That was 8 times, and in comparison there was only 4 times where the Dexcom was more accurate than the Libre and more comparable to the blood sugar. So the Libre 2 seems to be more comparable to the blood sugar, but there definitely is a trend as to when, and it seems to be when I have a low blood sugar. The Libre seems to first of all alarm before the Dexcom, and secondly be more accurate as to what the reading is. Now the only difference in this is that it seemed on the first day the Dexcom was more accurate. Maybe the Libre was warming up, I'm not really sure. But don't let that like throw you off the Dexcom, because there are times where the Dexcom and Libre were very similar. Times I didn't compare to the actual blood sugar reading and times I did. And also like there was 8 times the Libre was more close to the actual reading as opposed to 4 times where the Dexcom was closer. So I don't know, you can take your pick from, you know, it's still around the same except for the lows. It seems like it takes a bit longer for me for the Dexcom to actually recognize the low. Don't know if that's a good thing, but it is what it is. So, you know, overall I do like having the Dexcom as continuous, but maybe it needs a bit more fine tuning. Maybe the Libre is just a bit more accurate in terms of how things are. Maybe it's to do with the sensor itself, but that is how they compare in terms of accuracy. I'll sum it up. The Dexcom and Libre are both very good, but it seemed in my video for me that the Libre was more comparable to the actual blood sugar reading, especially in the hypo scenario, than the Dexcom. I'm still going to use Dexcom, so. Okay, so let's talk about both apps. This is the Freestyle Libre Link app, and that is what you use for both Freestyle Libre 1, 2 and 3. This is the first screen you'll get when you open the app. You'll see on the bottom it has this kind of green progress bar, and it'll tell you when the sensor ends. So there's 11 squares left telling you the sensor ends in 11 days. Up the top we have time and range, last reading and average blood glucose for the last 24 hours. And then here we have the green time and range, which is where we want to be. Clearly I'm way off today, and at the bottom we have a hypo line and then we have a hyperglycemia line. So you can see scenarios on the bottom in red where I've gone low and where I've gone above my target for high blood sugar 2. This orange dot here is my current blood sugar reading at 11.3. If we press on this bar at the side, you'll see your name up the top. You have a logbook, alarms and lots of different reports that you can click through. And then some interesting things along the bottom, you can actually connect an insulin smart pen. So you will see that in a future video with the NovoPen Echo Plus. There's settings and there's a direct link to order sensors. So we'll have a look through here. This is the logbook, so you can go back to how many days you want and look at your blood sugar readings for each day, which is great because you can't do that on the Dexcom. So I know that for today, my last blood sugar reading was 11.3. Alarms here, so these are our alarm settings, below 4.1 and above 13.3. And then some of these reports are really good. So one that I love is estimated HbA1c. This is not on Dexcom as far as I can see on the app when you first open it. Maybe it's in a report that you generate. We'll talk about Dexcom in a minute. But I just think it's so good that you can see that so easily, estimated A1c. Daily graph, you can click through the graphs for the week and have a look at them. Average glucose then is really helpful, and you can have that for 14, 30, and 90 days. You can see a breakdown throughout the day of how your blood sugars are. Obviously orange is where you're going high, green is good. And also if you want to see low glucose events, you can click there. We also have our time and range graph, so you can see 53% between 4.4 and 8. Overall, I do believe that Libre Link is really good because it's very clear to see the information. We're going to go on Dexcom now in a second, and I just find it a bit harder to find the information on there because there's so much of it. The first thing to note is that if you have a Dexcom G6 anyway, you have to have two apps. So the first one is actually called Dexcom, and that is where you will see your reading and the arrow that you're pointing, and you can get your graph. If you hover over it, you can see on the left hand side it will have your blood glucose reading and the time, and that is how you will see the readings on the Dexcom. Now there's not much else you can see here except some of the alert settings. You can see when your sensor expires, your transmitter code, things like that. But if you want to see reports, you can't do it on this app. You have to go and download another app, and this app is called Dexcom Clarity. So this is where you'll be able to generate your reports and get your summaries. For example, today is not going well. I'm 53% in range, 32 high, 12 very high. That's because I had a really bad night, but you can change that to 7 days, 14 days. You can see the difference on the graph at reports then, and if we select all of that, we press view report and it will start to generate a report for us. That's generating. We'll have a look at the goals. So you can see that I've set my goals. Say for example, the last week I want to be above 70% in range, so you can see the charts there. Here's the 70 line. I haven't hit it on 2 days. I've been 60 and 61, but the rest I have reached it. So this is a 7-day report. You can see the date up there. So I do like the function of this graph. So you can see where the gray is where I'm in range, and the yellow is where I've been high, so I need to work on those. And then we can see here 73% in range, 3% high, and it says the best glucose day. If we scroll down, we can look at the pattern. So that's my best day, 10th of May. We can see I was really good. My time in range was 94%, which is amazing. Average glucose was 7.5. And then we can have a look more into detail of the 7 days, and you can see where I've gone high and where I've gone low. Keep scrolling, we can have a look through each of the days and compare 7 days this week to 7 days the week before. So you can see that I'm doing better. I was only 63% then, now I'm 73, which I'm doing better, and you can look at the graph. So that is Dexcom Clarity. So do bear that in mind if you have a Dexcom and you're using the phone. If you're using the receiver as well, you can actually plug it in to the computer and upload your data that way. You just have to download some software. But you can see that you do need two apps if you're using the Dexcom G6 I think it's called, and Dexcom Clarity to look at the information. which is not really great in my opinion. Why can't it just all be built in one app like Libre? But that's how it is. So I hope I've shown you a lot of different things for the two systems. My own personal favourite, it's very hard for me to choose because like I don't really have a choice but to use Dexcom because that's what's the funding in Ireland. So I'm just going to be using Dexcom anyway, but there are features of the Libre 2 that I really like. Like I love the way the app is. I love having the logbook very clear there and the A1C and everything. I do think it's a bit more accurate when you're going low, and I did think that actually before this video, so it's really good I did this video to verify what I thought. Really hope you liked this video. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel. That's the comparison. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you all in the next video.